The Buddha's first sermon, also called the Four Noble Truths, is the foundation for all Buddhist practice. When recalling this teaching, I want each of us to look directly at the root of suffering, to recognize ourselves so as not to go astray or lose direction on the path of practice. We are human beings, each carrying within us many feelings of love, appreciation, preservation, worry, fear, and suffering. All these emotions originate from this body. But for a long time, we have often been drawn to the outside world, pulled by the 5 desires and the 6 senses, forgetting to ask ourselves, who am I? How am I truly living? That is why throughout life we create karma and receive suffering without realizing it. When the Buddha began teaching, he did not speak of distant things, nor did he preach about the universe or deities, but pointed directly to humans. He asked, "Are these human beings suffering or at peace? If you do not clearly understand yourself, all judgments about the world around us are merely branches, not the root." For example, to understand a house, you must first know who the owner is and what their temperament is like. The person is the subject, main cause, while the surrounding circumstances are only the auxiliary, secondary cause. If the main cause is good, then the secondary cause is also good. If the main cause is bad, then the secondary cause follows suit. Unfortunately, most of us only focus on taking care of the secondary cause and forget about the main cause, forget about ourselves. Therefore, the Buddha taught, confirm whether this body is suffering or happiness. That is the first step, the fundamental condition to begin practicing. If one does not clearly know whether the body is suffering or happy, all practice is merely superficial. If the body is happy, then there is no need to practice further. But if one clearly sees that it is suffering, then practice has meaning and is the path to liberation. Hearing the Buddha say that this body is suffering, many people think Buddhism is pessimistic and depressing. But in fact, the Buddha only wants us to see the truth as it is, without embellishment or imagination. The truth of suffering is the reality of suffering, a confirmation of this existence. It is birth, aging, sickness, and death, the 4 sufferings that no one can avoid. From the moment of birth, humans have to face many disappointments. Out of 10 things we desire, sometimes only 2 or 3 come true. The rest are disappointments, which is suffering. When old age comes, we see that we are no longer free or as vigorous as before. When sickness comes, no one feels happy. When death comes, everyone is afraid. Thus, birth, aging, sickness, and death are 4 truths, 4 common sufferings of human life. In addition, there are other sufferings such as loving but having to part, love and separation, longing but not fulfilled, desire unfulfilled, meeting people one dislikes, meeting enemies, and the suffering caused by the 5 aggregates that make up the body and mind, which are always changing and conflicting, the 5 aggregates in flux. These 8 sufferings, 7 belong to the body and circumstances, and 1 is the very combination of body and mind itself, which is the source of suffering. So, when we realize that this body is impermanent, temporary, no different from an item used for a few years and then broken, we will no longer be deluded into caring for it, nurturing it, or accumulating fleeting things. On the contrary, if we see this body as precious and long-lasting, it gives rise to arrogance, greed, contempt for others, and all kinds of afflictions. A Buddhist, even though reason tells them that this body is suffering, may not yet have the courage to live truly with that reality, so their practice remains superficial and their compassion forced. Recognizing that this body is suffering, the next step is to find the cause. The Buddha taught that the origin of suffering is greed, anger, and ignorance, the 3 great poisons in each person's mind. Because of greed, we desire excessively. When wishes are unfulfilled, anger arises. Then ignorance is not seeing the truth clearly, not knowing contentment, not knowing when to stop. Greed, anger, and ignorance are like a fire burning the heart, causing people to endlessly cycle through suffering. If one knows how to stop desire, be content with the present, no longer harbor anger, and no longer be deluded, then all suffering will disappear. That is a simple yet profound truth. Knowing the cause, the practitioner must find a way to eliminate it. Like a doctor treating a disease, knowing the cause is germs. Then finding medicine to kill the germs, the disease naturally heals. Similarly, when the roots of greed, anger, and ignorance are completely uprooted, the fruit of suffering no longer exists. That state is called nirvana, happiness, liberation right in this life, not something to wait for until after death. To reach that point, a method is needed, called the Noble Truths. The practice that the Buddha taught includes many means, the most fundamental being the Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. That is the path that leads straight to peace and liberation. Some people wonder, if this body is suffering, then when attaining enlightenment, the body still remains. So how can suffering end? In fact, when the roots of greed, anger, and ignorance are gone, the mind is peaceful and free. So even with aging, illness, and death, there is no longer fear or suffering. The Arhats and Bodhisattvas, although still having a body, have completely eradicated defilements, so they are not controlled by suffering. The practice yields results in this very life. It is not an empty promise. An enlightened person, when they have freed themselves from suffering, can truly love others and help them end their suffering. That is genuine compassion, benefiting oneself and others completely. If one is still suffering, then compassion is only words, not practical actions. Recognizing that this body is impermanent, fragile, and full of suffering, we will no longer be deluded or cling, nor will we fear loss. But within this impermanent body, the Bodhisattvas and Zen masters see something higher. Right in the midst of birth and death, there is something that has never been born or died. That is the true mind, the Dharma body, the true nature. Like the clear sky not covered by clouds, like light not obscured by darkness. Realizing this, the practitioner no longer fears the three poisons, no longer cherishes the physical body, no longer worries about loss, but lives peacefully and freely amidst all ups and downs. The Buddha is right within your own mind, not far away. Before thoughts arise, that is the Buddha. When thoughts arise, you become a sentient being. Just stop the thoughts, calm the mind, and the Buddha will appear again. For countless lifetimes, holding the precious jewel in your heart without knowing it, yet constantly searching outside. How truly regrettable! Thus, whether practicing the path of the Shravaka or the Bodhisattva, the ultimate goal is to attain happiness and liberation. Recognizing suffering, finding its cause, eliminating the root of suffering, and practicing the right path. This is the summary of the Buddha's first teaching, the guiding principle for those who study Buddhism on the path of practice. If every day we remind ourselves of these four truths, then regardless of the circumstances, our hearts will remain steady, our minds peaceful and free, and from there, we can truly bring benefit to ourselves and all sentient beings.